Bulgarian mobster Krasimir Kamenov, nicknamed Karo, was found shot dead in his Cape Town home last month, along with his wife and two other people. He had lived in South Africa for years after fleeing his native Bulgaria to escape various charges, including allegations of murdering a police officer. Kamenov ran a number of businesses, from parking lots to fruit markets, often tied to illegal syndicates. No further details are available of Kamenov's life in South Africa, but his ties to high-ranking Bulgarian officials are no secret. Let's take a closer look at who Krasimir Kamenov was. In the 1990s, Kamenov rose through the ranks of Bulgaria's underworld, controlling a vast empire of mostly illegal businesses. Kamenov was on Interpol's worldwide red notice list, charged with murder, issuing death threats and extortion. Speculation is rife that his killing was tied to his knowledge of the deep connections between Bulgarian officials and organised crime groups. Joining me now from Cape Town is Aaron Hyman. He's an investigative journalist who conducted the final interview with the Bulgarian mafia boss before his death. Aaron, how long have you been investigating Krasimir Kamenov?
Hi, Melinda, and a good day to your viewers. Well, I became aware of Mr. Kamenov in 2018, so yeah, it's a good 5 years now. I became aware of him and the activities of the Bulgarian underworld in South Africa as a result of a double murder which happened in a Cape Town suburb called Bergvliet and involved two Bulgarian nationals. And these Bulgarian nationals were acquaintances of Mr. Kamenov. They were also assassinated in a very similar way in which he was. And yes, I interviewed him to ask him about that assassination, actually.
Yeah, so you were the last person to interview him. Tell me about that interview. What insights did you glean from him?
Well, he was living a very luxurious life in South Africa, and he and his wife, Gergana, who was also murdered with him, made that very clear in the interview. They made it clear that they are a class above the average Bulgarian in South Africa, that they had no reason to be involved with the Bulgarian organized crime figures that I was inquiring about, and that they were doing no work in South Africa. We know now that he was speaking with authority when he was claiming that some of the people that I were inquiring about were involved in narcotics trafficking. And when we're talking about narcotics trafficking, we're talking about industrial scale trafficking of cocaine, and then also involved in credit card fraud on a very, very large scale. And it's my suspicion and strong belief that he himself was a senior figure in a sophisticated credit card fraud organization, Bulgarian organization in South Africa.
Even though he was living this life of luxury, it was a life of relative obscurity. He, not a huge amount publicly, was known about his life there. He wasn't photographed very regularly. There's speculation as to why he was killed now, that, for want of a better phrase, he knew too much. What do you think about that? Why do you think he and his wife were targeted now?
It's possible, and I do think that it always is a resounding motive when you look at organized crime murders, of which we have quite a handful in South Africa and Cape Town. He, as your audience may know, he was recently pointed out by the Bulgarian authorities as sort of a very prominent, perhaps the main organized crime boss in Bulgaria. And he was also involved in this allegedly involved in this OneCoin cryptocurrency debacle and is believed by my Bulgarian colleagues who've done extensive investigations into this to have maybe had a hand in the disappearance of the so-called crypto queen. And that he may have been divulging information about that to, if I'm not mistaken, the FBI. But in South Africa, he was also, I suspect, he was a prominent figure involved with an organization that was doing cross-border or transnational cocaine trafficking. Either way, shortly before he was killed, according to journalists that I spoke to with inside knowledge and other sources, he had been making changes to his security arrangement, and he was also allegedly moving assets around. It appears that he may have suspected that something was coming his way. And perhaps people within his group of associates have subsequently taken measures, I believe, in the interest of their own safety, also leaving South Africa.
You mentioned other Bulgarian criminals killed in South Africa, a bit of a syndicate operating. Has the country become a bit of a haven for people from the Balkan region or Bulgaria in particular who are trying to flee from justice in their home region?
Not just from Bulgaria. I mean, we've got criminals here from all over Europe, and we've got criminals from the Baltic region. And if I'm not mistaken, that has something to do with an extradition agreement not being in place. But South Africa is a haven for organized crime bosses. Kamenov was living here for a month after the Interpol Red Notice was issued. So it tells you something about the levels of cooperation, with the South African authorities and their counterparts overseas.
And just finally, is there concern within the South African public that the government there isn't doing enough to stamp out this safe haven for crime bosses?
Most certainly. The money that these crime bosses make in South Africa doesn't go into the government can't derive tax from it because it's being laundered. And then we've had this huge state capture scandal. And the people behind state capture in South Africa, the ongoing capture of the South African state, are organized crime figures. It's happening as we speak. So it's most certainly of concern to us.
We appreciate your insight. Aaron Hyman, thank you for joining us on Across the Balkans. That's it for Across the Balkans this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.